What's up guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're making a beat. So recently we got another addition to the Young Sinatra series by Logic, and if you're familiar with his work, then you know that alongside his regular studio albums, he also drops side projects. Now, most notably, we have the Bobby Tarantino tapes, which are more trap-oriented, but then we also have the Young Sinatra series, where he takes a more lyrical approach to some great boom-bap beats. Now, from what I've been listening, Young Sinatra 4, which is the latest edition, is great, and personally one of my favorites is Wu-Tang Forever, where he managed to feature the entire Wu-Tang Clan. But anyway, today I want to make something along those lines, something very energetic, something modern, but very boom bap at the core. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Alright, that's the beat. Let's go ahead and break it down. Okay, so this beat actually started out with a piano progression from Nexus, and that sounds like this. Now, the way that I recorded these chords was actually through Scalar, and I did a video last week walking you guys through the plugin and showing you what you can do, so I'm going to link it up top there. But essentially what happened was I pulled up Scalar, and first and foremost, I picked a key, a scale, so I picked E minor. Then it suggested some chords, so then I picked some that I like, and I brought them down to my sequencer here at the bottom. So we have E minor 9, B minor 9, and A minor 9. Then what I did was I used the bind MIDI feature, which is this here, which essentially lets me play these chords with only certain keys on my keyboard. So I binded it to C, which is my sequencer, and that way these chords got mapped to these keys. Now, if you saw that video, one of my suggestions was that I wished you could record the actual chord notes when you were using the bind MIDI feature. I thought you couldn't do it. Turns out you actually can. So a big shout out to Eddie Clow. He's a subscriber. He DM'd me on Instagram and he showed me how to do it. So huge shout out to him. Now, to do what I did here, which is using one key, the bind MIDI feature, to play the chords and actually record the chord notes in Studio One, all you have to do is go to your favorite VST. So in this case for me, it was Nexus, and drop down the input menu. Initially, it's going to be on all inputs, but you want to select Scalar. Next, you're going to go up to the Scalar track and enable the blue monitor button, open up the Scalar VST, and then just turn off the native sound. And essentially, you end up with what I did here. But okay, moving on, the next thing we added was a choir. Now the choir is super subtle. It kind of serves as like a lead, but also as like an underbelly for the beat. And by itself, it sounds like this. but then together with the piano. From here, we moved on to the percussion. Now, this to me was one of my favorite parts because I knew that I had to have a boom-bap cadence, but I wanted to add more percussive elements to make it sound fuller and more exciting. So what I did was I started out with a kick and a snare, basic boom-bap pattern. Let me bring that up for you guys. And it sounds like this. Now from there, we added a second snare, kind of like an accent snare, and in relation to everything else, it looks like this. It's right here. Now, I don't always do this, but sometimes, aside from an accent snare, I also add an accent kick. Some people call this like a ghost kick because you reduce the velocity, and at that point, it goes from being more of a kick to more like a percussive kind of filler. But essentially, that would be this for me right here. And then together, all this sounds like this. This one, the blue one here, is the filler kick, or the ghost kick. Moving on, the next thing we added was two close hats. The first one had more of like it was a 16th note pattern, but I took every other note and brought the velocity down to 50 to create that chugging motion. So if I take all these and I bring all the velocity up, you get what you guys saw when I was recording it, which was this. But that doesn't sound very good. So the velocity of every other note gets brought down to 50, and then we get this chugging kind of action. Now the next hat was just kind of to add more of a body to that hi-hat. I like the sound of the first hi-hat. I knew that I wanted to have that chugging motion, but I wanted something else. Now that second hat sounds like this. And then together with the first hat, if I take it off, it just adds a little bit of like that top end, that very like high end hiss. It just sounds really good in my opinion. Now from here, we added a couple open hats. The first one was a more synthetic hat, and that sounds like this. And then the other one was more of like a live hat. So that sounds like this. And then it just repeats again. Now the last thing that I added was a lead, a horn in this case, and that horn sounds like this. And then I added a couple plugins to kind of give that sound. I added a little plate, which is a plate verb, an echo boy, which is a delay, and then a micro shift, just as kind of to spread it out a little bit with the double effect on it. And that all together, the entire beat again sounds like this. But that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of this beat down in the comment section below. But as always, like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you're not already. But I will see you guys on the next one.